Good morning. Happy Wednesday. What day are we? We are the 18th today. Right. So this morning, just before I got onto my Unleashing Prosperity group call, I tuned in to see what was going on for the community and how can I help assist you in a complementary healing. So every week I try and turn up live into the group so that I can offer you some guidance and assistance, because I know not everybody can have sessions and things like that, and this type of work is incredibly powerful and it changes people's lives. It's definitely changed my life for the better. So as I tuned in, I thought, okay, what is it that everybody needs at this moment in time? How am I here to help and to serve? So the interesting thing was, it was going to do another Akashic journey, and we're going to look at what we call the slave girl and the people pleaser archetype. Okay, so and I've got somebody joining. Do you just want to see? Can I see who's here? Okay. All I will say is that some of you do miss out on joining me live in the group. Do you want to turn on your notifications for this group, because then you'll see when I turn up live. But I genuinely try and do it on a Monday. So I'm in Brisbane time, so the time zone is AEST. And in Brisbane, we don't change our time with daylight savings and things like that. British summertime, wintertime. So normally on a Monday at 4 p.m. I show up live and I do cards of the week and I do some channel guidance. Oh, it's Annie. Hello, lovely. And on a Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, I show up for a group healing. I'm just going to go into my group on my phone, because sometimes I actually see it better on my phone. Ah, oh, Leanne's here. Hey, Leanne, how are you? Hey, Leanne, how are you? There we go. So I turn up live on a Wednesday. So if you're watching this on the replay, press hashtag replay so I can come in and chat with you all afterwards. And don't forget, this video gets taken down later on and it goes up onto my YouTube channel. So I know you're watching it through the Holistic Spiritual Community. It will be put into the guide section. But I would love you to sign up to my YouTube channel, because you'll see when I upload anything onto the YouTube, whether it's teaching, training, mentoring, or any healings or meditations, that you will get notifications straight into your email, so that you can keep updated on your own self-development healing journey. So, hello, Maura. Thank you for joining. So today, this is going to be an interesting one, right? So if you're joining, it's probably going to resonate with you on some level. So this is all about the slave girl and the people pleaser archetype. Now, this is something that I actually love, working with archetypes. I find it so interesting. Archetypes was something that I started to become aware of actually back in my hairdressing days. Why did this woman come in dressed in a certain, like, pair of like straight leg jeans, loafers, stripy t-shirt, and a blazer, and she had a brown bob haircut? Why was she a bob haircut person rather than a short funky pink hairdo? And I started to really understand and look into the psyche of women when I was back in my salon days. And that is actually what sort of led me to where I am today in some form of way. And I really was like intrigued by different archetypes. And then when I studied personal styling, right, we actually learned different personalities, different archetypes of why that person would feel comfortable wearing that rather than wearing that. And it was all to do with your different archetypes. And then with archetypes, when I studied medical intuition, the archetypes came up, but it was also the archetypes that people were wounded by, and why this was affecting their health and well-being, why their bodies was creating disease. And also what was quite interesting was, you know, when I started getting into this healing arena and I certified as a healer, why there was such a thing called the wounded healer, because a healer is an archetype. Okay, even a hairdresser is a certain archetype. In all fairness, they actually come under the banner of the caregiver. That's the archetype that they come in under. But why was it that some healers were fine, and why were some healers wounded? So that sort of led me into looking at other things, and it was the beautiful Sky Akamesis that actually taught me medical intuition. And you know, she did, in part of her program, she talked about all the different wounds that was associated with really different types of archetypes. I'm just going to turn that on silent because I'm getting all pinged from everywhere. Till the end of this event, there we go. One of the archetypes that really came up and showed me was when I was studying medical intuition, was the people pleaser archetype, the overgiver. And I thought, oh, that is me to a T. Oh my Lord, it made so much sense. And you know, like with anything, awareness is 80% of the healing, right? And I thought, oh dear, I've got this people pleaser and overgiver archetype. And you can actually call it the slave girl archetype. So it sort of runs under those banners. And for me, in my journey with healing the overgiver and the people pleaser, right? And I have to watch this at times, right? And I know sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes away. It comes and it goes away. And it's like like with any archetype, there's the gifts, there's the positive of an archetype, and there's the negative of the archetype. So the negative of the archetype around the slave girl, the people pleaser, the overgiver, right, whatever resonates with you, it's still on the same frequency, is that it is burnout and sickness. That is what normally happens with that type of archetype. The slave girl archetype, right, what I love about Disney, okay, so just going off a bit off track here, Disney do archetypes really well. So the slave girl archetype is Cinderella. And this was something, when I learned all about this, was something that I saw in a really good friend of mine when I was growing up. She lived down the road from me, and she was so the Cinderella. And actually my mum said one day, she's like, Danielle's like little Cinderella. And her mum did have sickness and a disease, but Danielle did absolutely everything at a very young age. She moved into the mother archetype at a very young age, and actually she became a mother very, very young as well. And I still sort of hear about her to this day, but she was the typical Cinderella. So this is what shows up for us. So the shadow side, it can lead to disease, illness, burnout, but also what it can lead to is a hell of a lot of resentment. This is the energy frequency that we can go through when it comes to this. Because we've got this natural default button of give, right? It means because we keep giving to others, but we don't give to ourselves. This is where we struggle. We struggle with true self-love. Now, I don't mean love as in, oh, I love myself, I love my body and all of that. Self-love as in giving to yourself first. Your default mechanism is give to others before you give to yourself. That is your program, right? And it can take some sessions, it can take relearning, it can take embodiment to change that default mechanism, okay? It's how you're programmed, okay? Now, this program can come from different levels. It can come from your ancestral line. It can come from your genetic line. And I got it from my mum. And my mum still has it, right? She is such a giver. She is a beautiful, beautiful woman. She's a beautiful soul. And her, you could actually say her love language, and it's like the same as mine, right? So this makes sense, love languages. Your love language is acts of service, acts of service, all right? Now, you might, so for me, my love language is acts of service. So I'm always doing things. And my how I like to receive my love language is acts of service as well. And I'll make you laugh. This is just landed. I've just gone downstairs in between calls before jumping on this to make myself a little coffee. And my husband works from home, so he's downstairs today. And I went in, I said, "Are you all right? You all right?" Just seeing how he is. He's like, "Yeah," and he's a bit grumpy. And I said, "Oh, what's the matter?" And he's like, "Well, I've done all the washing up and I've tidied up the kitchen and da 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 da." So for me, he's just filled my love language completely, because that is, to me, is like he's in my good books today. And I said to him later, "Would you like to go out for lunch?" Because his love language is spending time with me, right? So, and he said, "I can't, I really want to, but I can't." So I said, "Okay, that's fine." So because he filled my love language, I'm filling his love language. But the slave girl archetype, the people pleaser, the overgiver, that is their love language. Okay, so I can see everybody starting to come in. Please write in the chat, because I love this to be really, really interactive. So what are you learning? So where's your slave girl come from? So I know mine's come from my female line on my mother's side. Okay, because my grandmother was the same. My grandmother Dora did absolutely everything for my granddad Arthur. So my grandparents were Dora and Arthur. And beyond that, I don't know, but I know it's come through the genetic line. Interestingly enough, right, my daughter doesn't have it, which is really interesting, right? But her boyfriend does. He's a Cancerian like me, so not that he's not a slave. I don't want to say that. He loves to nurture her. So I'm like, that's really interesting. So I've obviously blocked the slave girl archetype going through the genetic line, which is a good thing. Okay, so it can come through the genetic line, it can come through the ancestral line, it can come through you being a beautiful soul that you are. So it comes through different areas where this slave girl, people pleaser, overgiver comes through. So what do you need to be aware of with this? Awareness is everything, right? So we're going to go into the records today to find out what your program is, okay, around this overgiving. But also we're going to do some healings and some clearings in that. So, when I'm channeling and I'm tuning into you, sometimes I sort of have a rough overview of what I'm going to do in the clearings, but it's not until I'm channeling that I can see, oh, this is coming up. Let's clear this. Let's clear this. Let's clear this. Let's heal this. Let's change it. Let's change the energies, and let's mark this complete. That's roughly how a healing goes along the way. But I want to know where your default mechanism has come from. Has it come from this lifetime? Has it come from a past life? And really, what are you learning from this overgiving and people pleasing? Now, 9 times out of 10, this overgiving and people pleasing is because on some level we want to feel important, we want to feel loved, we want to feel respected, and we want to feel a belonging. This is really roughly where it sort of leads. Unfortunately, I have seen, even in myself, the more I give, the less I receive. That's really sort of what comes to it. And what did it do for me? It did lead to a lot of resentment. I had a lot of resentment, and it caused a lot of it caused physically, like from an illness point of view, it caused a lot of depression. It caused a lot of toilet problems, right? You know, going to the loo. It can actually lead with women to a lot of UTI infections. It can also lead to thrush and candida and fungus. I've seen that show up. So sometimes I will, when I'm doing a body scan on someone through like medical intuition, I can feel, I can sense. I've got all my psychic senses. I'm like, oh, and I ask the client, oh, do you struggle with thrush? And they're like, yeah, I do. And it's like, okay, we need to work on this. But the underarching archetype that's programmed in your default mechanism is this overgiving slave girl people pleaser archetype. So that's the core of it. And then the manifestations are your default mechanism, and then sometimes what's going on in the physical body can show up. 9 times out of 10, the physical body is the last manifestation to show through. So it can be UTIs, it can be thrush, it can be toilet problems, it can be depression as well. So we're really working on all of that. I've got loads of people joining me. Hello, are you enjoying this? So those are the physical manifestations. You can also struggle. Another physical manifestation is like bad shoulders, right? And 9 times out of 10, it can actually be, what am I talking about? Left shoulder, okay? Because it's coming down on the female side, because that's like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But yeah, a lot of it is, it's working through also a lot of self-love, self-worth stuff as well. So working on resentments, but also there's this, when we work on resentments, I also like to work on resentments, rejections and regrets, okay? Because I think that they all come together in a bit of a special package, can I say? And that's actually one of the things that I do through my self-love program, right? We work heavily on the resentments, rejections, regrets, but we also work on boundaries, because this is what you're learning. You're learning a boundary. Now, I actually years ago used to struggle with a boundary. Like someone would say to me, you need to work on your boundaries. And I'd be like, I have no concept what a boundary is. It was like you were talking a complete foreign language to me. And people would say boundaries, and I'd be like, what? Okay, what? I don't understand. What is a boundary? Because like it was just wasn't there. I was just, yeah, it just wasn't in my neural pathways, right? Because I was a slave girl, overgiver, people pleaser, don't have a boundary. I'm a yes girl. Can you do that for me? Yes. Can you do that for me? Yes. Can you do that for me? Yes. No problem. I'll fit you in. I'll do whatever I can. Yes, 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 yes. Right? And what I was looking for, this was me personally, I was looking for validation. I was looking at love, being loved, and I wanted to belong, right? Because I was quirky, because I was a little bit alternative as a kid, I felt I never belonged, right? And I couldn't sort of settle in with my quirks. So sort of I dimmed that down, and I became the overgiver. And you know, looking at how I learned the behaviors from your parents, so I learned it from my mum. And you know, if I look at my father was my father's a hero archetype, right? My dad's a fireman. He used to be in the Navy, and then he was a firefighter, right? So he classes as the hero archetype. So I've got those archetypes going on within me because they're learnt behaviours. So the other thing that's really interesting, and I'm just going to grab some of my details on the medical intuition. So we have we have wounds, but we've got the overgiving wound. So that's really what we need to heal with this archetype. So you are learning everything that we do. Our soul is here to learn. Hang on, what page am I? 18. We are here to learn. for our own soul's growth and evolution, right? So what you're healing with the slave girl, people pleaser, overgiver archetype is the overgiving wound. And you then sometimes, this person can be put, like I was saying with my friend who was the Cinderella, she was placed at a very young age as the adult. Okay, so she learned the mother archetype at a very young age. So she looked after she looked after her sister and her brother. She actually looked after her mom. She did all the housework. You know, she did absolutely everything. So she was given the role of the caregiver at a very young age. That's one of her archetypes. And sometimes what you end up with is that you actually sacrifice your childhood. And this can be the wound that shows up, and that you become the overgiver. As I said, it can manifest as physical illness. So it can manifest as exhaustion, codependency, bitterness, so resentments. It can have deep hidden resentments, and you really struggle with seeing the joy in life. Everything becomes hard work, and it's give, give, give. So this can show up as well. You can actually really struggle with receiving. Now, this is something that I learned a number of years ago, actually, with, and I saw it in myself as a pattern. It was when I was a hairdresser, and clients would come into the salon, this is years ago, and they'd say, "You look nice. That's nice on you. Your hair looks nice. What have you done? You know, oh, you've lost a bit of weight." And if they said, you know, something like, "Oh, you look nice," I'll be like, "Oh, this old thing. Oh, you know, it's only from Kmart, you know, blah, 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 blah." And I instead of accepting the compliment, so this is something that shows up, you struggle with accepting compliments. Instead of accepting the compliment, I would put it down. If they said to me, "You look really well," you'd say, "Oh, how do you feel?" And you'd be like, "Oh, I'm fine." So watch your words. Watch your words in how someone pays you a compliment. Do you accept that compliment, or do you accept it and then put yourself down? This is a sign of it as well. It's quite interesting. And I then noticed it a lot when I started to have my own sort of technique in my hairdressing business, the way that I did consultations and stuff like that. I would say to a client, "Okay, let's design you a haircut for today. Let's bring out all your positive features in your face. What do you love? What do you want to enhance?" Right? And the first thing they did, right, not everybody, but I would say probably 90% of these clients would say, "I don't like this about my face. I don't like this." And I'd be like, "No, no, no, no. What do you like? I want to know what you like so I can enhance your like." And they would look at me completely blank, and they'd be like, "Oh, maybe I like my eyes. Okay, great. So we're going to really make them a feature." And they'd sometimes look at me and be like, "Oh, she's different." But we're so sometimes, as the overgiver, the slave girl, the wound that's there is that we struggle with a compliment. We struggle in seeing ourselves in a different way. This shows up as well. Just seeing if anyone is commenting. Val. Facebook's been doing poorly on notifications. Okay. So what are you learning? What are you learning? Because everything we're doing is because it's a learning. It's a learning. So we're learning how to receive and give from a place of love. So we're learning balance. Okay. And this is something that we need to embody. And sometimes, you know, I won't lie, sometimes I go a bit astray, but I have to hone it back in, right? And I know that if my energy goes, or if I'm sick, I know I'm giving too much. Okay. And I have to pull it back, right? For my own sake and my own health and well-being. Okay. So just take a pause, take a breath, And where is it that you struggle with the slave girl, the people pleaser, and the overgiving? Is it to certain people? Is it in situations? Is it where somebody catches you off guard? This can be a big one for a lot of people, right? Sometimes, you know how you get those people that ask you something at the wrong time, right? And your default mechanism, right? We've talked about default mechanism. Your default mechanism is to say yes, right? This was me. And it's a bit like somebody blindsiding me. So I'm busy doing stuff and I'm juggling all the plates, right? I'm a manifesting generator. And then somebody, and it might be the kids, it might be a client, this is the old me, husband or whatever, parent, and they'd be like, can you just do this? And I'd be like, oh, yeah. And I've said it before I've even thought about it. And I've thought afterwards, I don't want to do that. But I can't say no, right? And this is one of the other things that working with this sort of archetype that I do with clients is I actually need to teach a client the definition between what is yes and what is no, because some people are completely crossed. So they say yes when they mean no, and they say no when they mean yes. You can actually, you can actually muscle test this. I know my true yes, I know my true no. Okay, and what we do in Theta is that we actually download you with creator's definition and understanding of what true yes is and what true no is. And this is what I did years ago, made a massive difference in that. You are actually learning, right? The virtue you're learning, so the life lesson you're learning is actually trust. Trust. And you wouldn't think that, but it is trust. It's trust. So it's distrust that you're working through in that respect. Okay, let me have a little drink. I've been talking for about 4 hours. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, Leanne, she's off to appointment. You'll be able to watch this on YouTube. Okay, no one's talking to me. Is anyone there? I know I've got people live. So let me know in the chat. Actually, I might just turn off Do Not Disturb on my phone. That's probably why. Let me know in the chat what you struggle with. If you want to ask me a question before we go into the records. I know you're here, Shani, lovely. Don't know if technology is a bit slow today. So what we're going to do with this is, because you can look at all these different archetypes from different angles. So, you know, I can work on it through using theta healing, amazing. I can look at it as in medical intuition stuff, right? And I can look at it through the Akashic Records. So if I was working with you privately, right, I would be doing theta healing stuff in a session. I'd be doing medical intuition stuff in a session, and I'd be doing Akashic stuff in a session. So, you know, I'd probably have you in for at least 3 sessions to be able to really clear this on a very, very deep programming level. But because we're in a group situation, right, and I can't tie it completely personalized to you, because everybody's default mechanism is different depending on your programs as such. But the interesting thing is your programs are actually stored within the records, and that's the easiest thing to sometimes work on, is to do things through the Akashic Records, because all your history is there. So what we're going to do today, we're going to have fun, all right? We're going to set the intention that it gets to be fun. So we're going to go in with awareness, okay? Because as I said earlier in this video, awareness is 80% of the healing, right? Because if you know your default mechanism, so I knew that I got this from mum and from my grandmother. So I know that it's heavy on the genetic line. But I also can see that it hasn't gone through to Millie, which is great, and it definitely hasn't gone through to Rory, which is great. So I'm like the last gatekeeper for this. so then I start to get inquisitive. I'm like, okay, so I know it's come through the genetic line. What is it? How many ancestors back has it come from? Or how many levels of the genetic line has it come through? So when I work through Theta Healing, we work on a 1:7 ratio of going back through the genetic line. Anything else is ancestral. So I would get curious going into my records, right, and going, okay, so I know it's come through the genetic line. I know that how many generations back has this been carrying? Has this program been going through us? Is it going through any further genetic line, you know, daughters, granddaughters, etc.? Could go through the boys, who knows? It might have even come through your father, you don't know. But the records will tell you this. This is the easy thing. So what we'll do is that we'll look at it. I'm being strongly guided to, look at it through the ancestral and the genetic line, okay, like a genetic program, okay? So it gives you a really good understanding of how this stuff can work. So we're going to go through your records. We're going to call up your records of this lifetime, and we're going to ask for the ancestors to come in front of us and the genetic line to come in front of us. And you're going to follow it like a roadmap, how far back that this program, this default mechanism has gone in, okay, and what you're learning from this, okay? So how far it's gone back and what you're learning from it, okay? And we'll do some energy clearing and some healing around that. So we'll just keep it really simple, not confusing, okay, so that you will gain the benefit from this healing and this clearing, okay? If you're listening to this, please make sure that you, when we do the healing, don't leave the healing halfway through, okay? We need to close your records down afterwards, okay? I'm very hot on spiritual practice, spiritual hygiene, okay? So if you have not got time for the next 20 minutes or so to listen to this healing, come back to it, all right? Because don't leave anything open, right? We want to, I am very hot on, when I teach and I mentor, this spiritual practice, spiritual hygiene is really, really key for your energy levels, right? Okay, Kara's put, I love this. I'm still on the journey of slave girl healing, especially around people pleasing, overgiving and codependency. Yeah. So I just want to say something. I want to put a caveat in place. Now, we can do a healing, and we can heal it on the ancestral, we can heal it on the physical body, the mental body, the spiritual body, the emotional body, all of those bodies, right? So you can do the healing, and you know, like Cara knows me really well, I say you do the healing, then the embodiment comes. The embodiment, if you don't know what embodiment is, it means you change your default mechanism. So the healing has gone, and we've given you something to help you change that default mechanism. But it is your daily practice to start to move your actions, your thoughts, and your behaviors in the new aligned way. That's the embodiment. For instance, I'll give you a good example that makes things make sense. You come to me because you want to work on weight loss. We do the healing around and cut cords to the addictions of that food. We understand the emotional connection to that food. I'll give you an example. Got an addiction to cheese. Soft, gooey cheese. And it's making you put on weight and you don't feel great about yourself. So you come to me, I want to work on this. Okay, no problem. You understand, we go through all the records, we do this, we do that. The emotional connection to your cheese, because we know it's emotional connection. And it's all to do with connection to mother, okay, because it's mother's milk. Okay, that's what that is. So we cut the cords, we do the healing, we do the change, we give you some guidance, all of that type of thing, right? But your guidance comes out that you need to not buy any cheese and have it in the fridge, okay? Or this might happen, this might happen. The embodiment is to start to make changes, the embodiment is making sure that you don't go to the supermarket, and your default mechanism is to walk down the cheese aisle and just pick it up and put it in your trolley, right? So you need to, before you go into that supermarket, your embodiment is, I am making a conscious decision not to do that. Because we cleared the mother stuff to that nurturing, right? But you have to take ownership and make conscious decisions around, I'm not going to go into the supermarket and use that default mechanism, all right? So it might be, and I did this around biscuits and chocolate, and it works, right? Years ago I did this. So I don't have it in the house. Because if I have it in the house, your default mechanism, when you're feeling low, you'll do it. So that's the embodiment. So healing comes in 3 stages, is awareness, and then doing the healing, and then the embodiment, the changing the default mechanism. And sometimes people, their default mechanism will just be really easy, right? But sometimes people's default mechanism is a lot stronger than you realize. So the embodiment is the taking action. It's making sure that you are not programmed into that default mechanism. And sometimes it takes a bit longer on some people than it does on others. For instance, let's use alcohol as an example, or smoking. Let's use smoking. You know how some people can go and have one hypnosis session and they give up smoking, right? Because it's cleared it. But then some people need to have the re-imprinting meditation because their default mechanism is so strong, right, that you need to do the embodiment. So the embodiment is like the re-imprinting meditation. So it changes it, changes it, changes it. Okay, so it helps you because everybody's different, right? So your program, your default mechanism to slave girl, yours is going to be completely different to mine. It's going to be different to Kara's. It's going to be different to Shani's, anything along those lines. So just so you know. So when we go into the records, we're going to see your default mechanism, right? But the beautiful thing is you're going to ask for the message to come through of how it can help you to embody a new default mechanism. And that's key. That's key in a lot of healings, and that's where I get a lot of quick successes, is because we want that understanding of the new default mechanism, and you do the new mechanism, not the old mechanism, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So we're going to ask for the new default mechanism, and you're going to do it because that's going to help this change quickly. If you didn't have that default mechanism, you'll come out of the healing and it will take you a lot longer, possibly, to create those new habits. So your default mechanism, if we use the woman with the cheese as an example, it might be go to a different supermarket. Because if you're going to a different supermarket, seriously, if you go to a different supermarket, how many times do you walk through a supermarket in the same way? You go to this aisle, then you go to that, and then you know where this is, you know that. You're just going through unconsciously buying all your stuff. If you go to a new supermarket, everything's laid out slightly differently. So you're more conscious of what you're putting into your basket. You don't go down that aisle. Or you don't go shopping, you send someone else. Andrew's really naughty when he goes shopping because he buys all the crap. Embodiment is where I found the magic happen. Absolutely. I had loads of healings on this before. I found Claire. You were never told this. Yep. Absolutely. You were never told this. Yes. Because healing comes in 3 stages. Awareness, the healing, and then the changing the default mechanism, the embodiment. But Kara said a healing. So we ask divine, we ask guides, we ask our higher self, we ask our soul, we ask someone who's got a better understanding of us, right, to help us with that default mechanism. Does that make sense? I feel like I've gone into a teaching program today. I'm sorry. But you see, I like to explain a lot of this stuff before we do it, because it just, I can see it all going off in your mind, right? And you're like, yeah, got it. Yeah, got it. Understood, understood, understood. Yeah, so the embodiment is the key, because otherwise you'll just keep going back and healing the same thing, healing the same thing, healing the same thing. But it's your behavior that we're trying to change. So we've got to change that default mechanism. Thank you. Hey, Sarah, how are you? I've been thinking about you. So we're going to make sure we ask for that default mechanism. Right. So are you ready to play? Come play with me. Can I just say, anyone that's in the Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Noosa, all down this area, Queensland area and Gold Coast, I am running a day retreat. I am preparing something really magical and special for you. So save the date on Sunday, the 20th of October. I know actually a few people have actually said that they're going to fly interstate. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, great. So we are having a scrumptious girly day together. So save the date on the 20th of October. Tickets will go on sale. It's going to be a small intimate group. So first in, best dressed. Okay, so save that date. But yeah, I am planning something really, really lovely. We're up leveling. We're not just going to the pub for a coffee. I'm going to do something really, really special for you. Okay, so if you're ready to go in and find the awareness, let's do some healing around this archetype, and then we're going to get the new default mechanism. So we're going to find out where this has come from, the old program, and we're going to get the new program. Okay, and work with that, and keep me informed in this, okay, because it's really interesting. So when you're ready, I want you to, oh, I love hearts, thank you. I want you to close your eyes, and I just want you to breathe. All right, so I've given you a lot of information in the last 30 or 40 minutes. Okay, and just allow that information just absorb. Okay, so I want you to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out, centering yourself in that big, beautiful heart. And we're going to set the intention, because we always set intentions as we go into our records. And we're going to ask your angels and guides of 100% love and light to come in and to support you in accessing your records. And anything not of 100% love and light, we're going to ask for it to leave. And we're going to ask for your ego to step out of the room. We're going to call in your higher self. And we're going to call in divine, universal love, unconditional love. So I want you to see, sense, feel, know that there's this beautiful pink mist all around you. And while you're in this beautiful white bubble and pink energy mist, nothing can harm or hurt you. You're safe, secure. You're going to listen to my voice as your guide, because I'm going to guide you into your records. And remember that you are going to shut your records afterwards, okay? That's important. So the intention today is to go into your records and have a look in this present lifetime book where your slave girl, people pleaser, overgiver, archetype stroke wound is, where this old paradigm, this old program, this old default mechanism is causing you angst in this lifetime. We also want to understand the lessons and the learnings that you're experiencing by having this old program. We're going to ask for it to be changed, healed, in all directions of time under the law of grace, mercy and compassion. We want to understand the awareness. then we want the healing, and then we want the new program. We want the new default mechanism to be installed in either the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional body, and run it back through the generational line. All right, so that's our intention. Okay, so breathing in, breathing out. We're going to call in Archangel Metatron, and he's going to place an energy in front of your third eye, and he's just going to open up that third eye, and you're going to imagine with your third eye, so however you see, sense, feel, know, that you're now traveling through this portal of light with Archangel Metatron. He's the mighty scribe of the records. He's in charge of your records. So he's going to take you out through the universe, the multiverse, through all the bright lights and dark lights, till you get to a golden staircase right in the middle of the universe and the multiverse. And as you start to walk up this golden spiral staircase, you walk through like a layer of gold. And then you can see rainbows and colours and sacred geometry all around you from this pivotal point of this top of the staircase. And as you turn back, you see a mighty big brown old wooden door. And on this wooden door, I want you to really look, and you're going to see your full name now. It's starting to appear on this door, and it's carved. And this carving is etched in gold leaf. So it's your full name now. And underneath it will be your full name at birth if it's changed. And then your full date of birth and your place of birth. And with your right index finger, you're going to follow your carved name. So it's like you're writing it with your finger all along, your date of birth, place of birth. And as you get to the end, the door clicks, opens, and you go in. So it's like a secret code of how you open it up. And the door closes behind you. Archangel Metatron invites you into your record room. Now, just feel the energy of your room. Sense it. If you can smell it, if you can taste it, if you can see it. Get those psychic senses starting to open. Allow everything to open up. Okay, so they know the intention. Your Akashic Record guides, Metatron knows your intention today of what we want to find out. So you're now invited to go into the room further, and you're going to see a big old wooden oak table sat in the middle of the room with a big old armchair. And at the side of the armchair, you've got a little round table with a carafe of water, a candle burning, a lovely green candle burning, some fresh flowers. So they've made it really inviting for you. So you sit at this old big armchair. And at the table in front of you is a big book. It's a book of life, the book of life. And Metatron opens it up in front of you and he points to this book. So I want you to either read the book, read the energy. You might see, if you're a seer, if you're clairvoyant, you might see like you're sitting in a theatre and the curtains pull back and you've got the big movie screen in front of you. So however you sense this, you feel it, you know it, you see it, you hear it. You might have someone whispering in your ear. You might just know these things. Things are just dropping in for you. So just turn on your psychic senses and allow the messages to be there for you. So the first thing we're going to do is awareness. Where has this default mechanism come from? This overgiving, people-pleasing slave girl archetype. Where's this wound, where's this default mechanism come from? So it's come through the genetic line. How many generations back does this go? So I want you to tune into a number. Might be a really big number. That's okay. Go with a number. Hold that in your mind's eye. So that's how many generations back this goes. And from that number, I want you to see a line coming down to you at the bottom, a bit like a family tree. And when you get to you at the bottom, I want you to ask the question, why? Why you? Why have you got this? And just listen, feel, sense, know, see. What are you learning from this? What are you gaining? So some of you, it might even be respect. Might be acceptance. Do you have any oaths and vows and promises and obligations to be doing this? Yes or no? Why? Is it going through other future generations? Have you carried this on to your children and your children's children? Okay. And how is this playing out in your life? So some of you will see this really easily. And then how is it playing out in your life that you're not aware of? Ask for that to be shown and be placed in front of you. So one of the big things that's just come in for me is time. Because this is quite key. This is where it can be sneaky, where you're not seeing it and it's playing out. You're not aware. And the other thing that I'm being shown is, where are you giving your power away? Okay, so first of all, I want you to see that in your body. Where are you giving your power away in your body? And if you're being shown a body part, do you have an issue with that body part? Mm. Are you giving your power away with this from a habit? Or a thought? Or a program? And then why? Is it to fit in? Is it to fit in with others? Not necessarily your family, but your community, your circle, your tribe. And I'm really seeing a lot of you. Can I just do a clearing? Can we just call in light? So allow this a light if you want this. Just say yes, consciously out. Can we just get rid of like this brain fog, this forgetfulness? I can see a lot of that going on in your head. So can we just clear that for you? Let's just do a clearing now, because we've brought stuff up and now I can see it all fogging up in your brain. So let's just clear that. There we go. Just letting that all lift off. Okay, now I'm being shown we're going to do a bit of a clearing on the back of your neck. So we're actually going to invite in Master Merlin. So we're going to get a bit woo here. So Master Merlin is really good at taking out old programs, old paradigms through your altar major chakra. So that's at the back of the neck. So this is where you're plugged into old ways and new ways. So let's just allow him to come in and start to rewire and take out old programs. So you might see, sense, feel, know, listen with your whole being. As do you remember old, like having a reboot of your computer? Or you might see, like, I'm showing my age now, the old floppy disk. So let's take the old floppy disk out of the back of the neck. Okay, and let's just put a new microchip in the back of your neck. Okay, and then just let's run this whole new system. There we go. Well done. Okay, so with this new default mechanism, this new program, you're going to ask, what is it? What's your new default mechanism? What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to start doing in order to embody this new higher timeline version of yourself? So just see, sense, feel, know, listen with your whole being. If you don't get it today, ask for it to be dropped into you within the next 48 hours. So it might even come through at night when you're resting, just so you know. Or it might just land if you're not picking it up now. Because sometimes I don't pick this stuff up when I'm doing all this stuff for you. It will drop in later. So that's why I always set that intention for myself. So my guides are like nodding, going, yeah, okay, Claire, got it. It'll come in. It will come in a bit. It will come in when I'm quiet. So if you're getting the messages, great. But you might also get more inspiration coming through later, and that is fine. So we're just open. We're being open and aware to receive. Receive, receive, receive. So I'm just going to do a little bit of just changing your energy on a cellular level, right? So this is more theta healing stuff. So we're going to ask Creator, Divine, Source, your soul, whatever you connect in with, to download you the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions of what it is to receive. That you know it's safe and possible to receive as well as give. You know how to receive. That you have creators, divine source, love, light, an understanding of what receiving is. And your idea of receiving is the same as the divine's, creator's unconditional love. Okay, that's going to start to shift and change. If you want this, just say yes. And I could just see all these light bulbs going off in your mind, going, oh, right, got it, understood. Good. And let's just teach your body. So I'm talking to all your cells now. That it feels good to receive. Okay, let's just let that start to activate. It feels good to receive. Okay, and if you want to just like slightly move your body and just sort of think, yeah, this feels good to receive. Okay, this feels good. Because that's just going to move the energy through the body. So whether that's receiving money, receiving abundance, receiving compliments, receiving help, support, love. Receive, receive, receive. Okay, it's time. It's like time to call back all that you have given over this lifetime, lifetimes, all through the ancestral, the genetic line. Okay, this is time. This is time to work with the law of cause and effect. So it's like, let's call this back. It's safe. This is your time. Receive, receive, receive. Okay, so you're going to feel like this energy coming towards you. You're like, oh, wow. Oh, this is good. This is good, 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 good. Okay, we're just going to release all those barriers that you place around you. Let's just release all those protection barriers. Let it go. Okay, good. So you know what your new default mechanism is or is going to be. We've updated your program in the back of your neck. All is good. So I just want you to sit there for a moment and think, okay, now this healing has taken place. We've changed the default mechanism. We know what the new one's going to be, or it's coming in. Okay, what actions can I do now that is going to empower me moving forward? So I want you to actually look at your health and well-being. This is where I'm being directed. So what changes can you do in regards to your own health and well-being that's going to help you embody this new program? And I'll give you a couple of examples. Is it something like drinking? Like, it can be like easy things like just drinking more filtered water. It can be, you know, being out, grounding yourself in the fresh air every day. So it might be some little things that you need to start making changes, or it might be a couple of big things. Don't over challenge yourself. So it might be things like getting up half an hour earlier in the morning, but in that half an hour you are doing a meditation. You might be journaling. You might be chanting. because what that's doing is you're giving to yourself at the beginning of the day. You're giving to yourself first. Okay, good. All right, so I want you to turn to Archangel Metatron. And I want you to ask him now, out loud, say, I now close my records. And you know you had that table by the side of you with the beautiful candle. I want you to take that old program that's come out through the back of your neck and I want you to burn it in the candle. And then I want you to imagine that you're taking that big glass of water, beautiful Christ-like water, blessed water. And you're going to drink it and it's going to flush through you. And as it flushes through you, it's just going to cleanse and clear any resentments that need to be released, especially through that urinary tract. So let's just do that. And you're going to take one of those fresh flowers and you're going to place it in your record book. And the rest of the flowers we're going to send back through the ancestral line, the genetic line. So it shows them that this has all been marked complete. And when you stand up from your chair, you nod to Archangel Metatron to allow you to help you come back. So you come out of your record room, you make sure you close that door. You come down the spiral staircase, through into that portal of light, and you're starting to come back now, coming back, coming back into your body. I want you to start to rub your feet on the ground, pat yourself down in your legs. Okay, and start saying to yourself that I'm back, I'm safe, I'm whole, I'm complete. Thank you, it's done, it's done, it's done. And in your own time, open your eyes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I've got a couple left here watching. But yes, let me know in the comments what you thought, how you feel, and what you're going to do from an action point of view. And this video will be placed up on YouTube so you can come back and watch this at any time and enjoy this powerful, powerful healing. And don't forget, we've got the Brisbane gathering coming. And if anybody would like to have sessions with me, then just please reach out. I'll drop a link at the bottom with my website details and contact details. But yeah, thank you all. I'm going to sign off for now, but it's been beautiful explaining this archetype and helping you shift and heal today. So sending you lots and lots of love, and I will see you all. That's all right, my pleasure, Annie. And I will see you all incredibly soon. Oh, just to say, I'm not here next week. So there'll be no lives or anything like that in the group next week, but I'll be back the week after. So enjoy all the healings and the complementary meditations and stuff while I'm away. But anyway, speak to you all very soon.